There are layers to discuss here, Robbo, the first being the punishments. Did the punishment fit the words of condemnation that came from Collingwood?
Absolutely not, Jarryd. Absolutely not. I'm quite staggered that the AFL and Collingwood, the way Mark Anderson spoke in the press releases first and then Mark Anderson spoke, really strong, really powerful words, but the actions didn't back up the words. I mean, a $20,000 suspended fine, it's not a penalty. It's if you do it again punishment. Well, he might not do it again, so what's the punishment? Other than the gross embarrassment that is surrounding Jordan at the moment, or he should be embarrassed by what's surrounding him, Collingwood is tough talk their way. But no, the actions are really important. I'm really disappointed in the AFL. I'm incredibly disappointed. And you can say, who cares what I think? But don't sit there, AFL and Collingwood, and tell everyone from your soapbox, but the respect for women's paramount. And then oversee a non-penalty. What are women supposed to think about this? Seriously. I wish we had a table of 10 women right now and say, what do you think about the events of today? And see what they honestly think.
What would have been appropriate in your mind? So you have to choose something.
Yeah, we'll have to choose something. And I said to you, I don't think he will be suspended, and we both agreed on that. And that was an opinion. I think that there's got to be something real. I think there should have been a punishment. You know what there should have been, Jarryd? Drop the suspension. Drop the suspended. You're going to fine him $20,000? Fine him $20,000. And if the Players Association says, no, you can only fine him $5,000, you say, no, you're out of this. You're out of this. This is our player, Collingwood, and the AFL says, this is our problem. And I think they've let the female community down.
So I think there's nuance to the punishment. I think De Goey had to recant from his position that he was the victim of persecution and throw himself entirely at the mercy of the court, accepts absolutely his actions.
That took a couple of days,
Jared. And we spoke about this last night, the tensions behind the scenes to reach that point. We expect that he is going to front publicly to answer for it as the week goes along. I'm not quite sure why you would stretch that out at this point, but maybe there's...
Could have done it today, you think?
Well, I think they've hemorrhaged since Friday night. It is Tuesday. Craig McRae speaks Friday.
He will be asked.
In the intervening period, I think the expectation is Jordan will answer publicly for what he's done. So that's the whole week at that stage.
And I respect him for that.
The real level of penalty here feels to me like the contract being off the table. So we know that he had 2 + 2 at 800,000 in front of him. He won't see 800,000 in whatever offer if there is one at the end of the year, and it won't be 2 + 2. So I could probably make the case to you that he's burnt the last 2 years at 1.6 and had a bit of a discount on the front too. Now, he might get that money elsewhere. So that's not material in the now. No, you know my view on that.
Yeah, he's not going to get it elsewhere.
But so in the end, the $25,000 suspended is probably going to cost him a guaranteed $1.8 million.
Yeah,
that's what I think the sums will end up being.
Okay, maybe could be.
But that's not in the press releases.
No, it's not. That's maybe and could be's and what happens. I don't think another club's going to pick him up. Journos and media types are saying, oh yeah, he's going to get 5 years at 800. Bullshit, he's not, Jarryd. He's not. Because there's not an irresponsible club out there who's going to guarantee him 5 years at 800. Because if they do, resign. Resign. You're not doing your job properly. So get that out of the discussion that a club's going to offer him 5 years, because that won't happen. Your thoughts on what I'm a little bit perturbed about, that the words were strong, but the penalty didn't match.
No, I agree with that. And then you have to wedge yourself to something. So would a game have done the trick? Probably not. Would the material fine...
Games do hurt.
Yes.
Games do hurt players because that's why they play the game.
Would the material fine have been better than suspending? Yes, probably.
When there's something big, 20,000 fine, I just drop the suspension. I think everyone would have said, OK, because you can get yourself in trouble talking about this. Jordan De Goey was the victim. I didn't do anything wrong, and a lot of people agreed with him. But as we've gone over the last 3 days, Collingwood have come out and said it was disrespectful. And the AFL said it is disrespectful. Okay, so people can defend Jordan De Goey for he didn't do anything wrong. In fact, he did do something wrong, Jarryd. He did. And women have every right to sit there and ask the AFL and Collingwood and the two AFLW, the two sort of football teams at Collingwood, female, and the two netball clubs at Collingwood, their representatives have every right, Jarryd, to walk in and say, what's going on? What is going on here? How many chances does this dude get in life? He's already on parole for New York.
In the football sense.
Yeah, for New York. But now he's been put on a bond, Jarryd.
Yeah, the phrase you did quote in your story tonight was this situation can't happen again, and this situation
has happened again. Mark Anderson said that 6 months ago.
So it makes for an interesting 9 weeks ahead in footy sense for him, and he spoke of the trust that has been broken. Only those within the club fully understand what that represents.
You spoke about Jeremy Howe's response last night.
So I think the last time we saw Collingwood, they were buoyant. That's the best word I can think of.
Absolutely.
They go on their breather and they reconvene, and their club is under siege on the actions of one player. And they have all fronted up to that over the past 2 days, while he hasn't. If this goes awry from here, it's not hard to imagine the level of resentment that is there. If they all come together and win games and resume their charge to the final, I'm sure it will be unifying. I think these are really tense weeks for Collingwood.
How much would the players hate this walking in and having the door stop?
It would be impossible not to feel a level of resentment toward why you've been exposed to this, and knowing full well who's culpable for it, and not for the first time.
So Craig McRae is first-year coach, okay, and buoyant. He's got his team buoyant, so much so, really wise heads are starting to think, can they do it? Can they do it? Can they go all the way? And you shake your head and you think, no, actually, have a look at him. So Craig McRae gets to the break going, well, we're going all right here. And then now he has to deal with this. And he hasn't had to deal with this before. So this is part of coaching, learning to coach. There's the there's the on-field. And occasionally you get these grenades from off-field, and he's got a big grenade. I'm looking forward to McRae speaking on Friday. I'm really looking forward to Jordan De Goey. Now, the other complexity in this, Jarryd, is it came out today, it was revealed today that Jordan's got ADHD. Yeah. Now, that changes it a little, and it was explained to me like this today. Jordan was diagnosed with ADHD late last year, and he'd been going really, really well. But like an addict, you fall off the wagon, and he fell off with his behaviour in Bali. Now, I'm trying to understand that. I'm all ears. Talk to me about that. I think all of us need to learn a little bit about this, and hopefully Jordan can speak to that when he speaks this week. Yeah,
all the more reason why he needs critical guidance around him, and he doesn't have that by his own hand. Having his manager as his brother-in-law, like that is the first failure. If you do need guidance, and there are plenty of far more equipped and mature footballers who will tell you at various times you need guidance. You need a hand here or there to steer you away from this or to steer you into that. He doesn't have that in his circle. He once did, he doesn't now. I would say to you that the evidence of the past week is he needs that. He does. As I said, I'm really looking forward to Jordan De Goey speaking. I hope this is a moment in time again. We say it often. You don't abandon people, but people are responsible for their actions. And because you've got ADHD or any mental health, that doesn't automatically excuse you of the behaviours and the decisions you make. We had this discussion with Bailey Smith. Bailey, OK, you've got mental health. You're still responsible for your decisions, aren't you? So anyway, hopefully by the end of this week, this is an enlightening week for Jordan and an enlightening week for everyone who is watching this man. If he talks about his ADHD, and there's people at home right now probably thinking, what is that? There's some people at home thinking, I've got that, I've got it. So let's have a discussion about that, and we'll see how we go. In a football sense, they play on Sunday against the Giants. It's a critical game. And the winning and the losing plays such a big part in this from here. It has been a disjointed preparation up to Tuesday. They get a run at it from Wednesday through to Sunday with a couple of events still in there. Not unlike what Melbourne opened themselves up to, is that game becomes such a centrepiece of what happens next.
Yeah, by the time we get to bounce down, Jarryd, I don't know if that's a term in footy. By the time we get to the first bounce, this will be forgotten.
If they lose, it won't be.
Yeah, well, maybe not. Maybe they'll lose because the Giants are a pretty good team. I tell you what's going to happen on Sunday. If you want to go and enjoy a good game of football, go to the MCG. Because you reckon last week was a shootout, Giants and Dogs? You go to the MCG and watch the absolutely riveting Pies v this team at the Giants who are going all offensive. It'll be a spectacle of a game. If they lose, no doubt, this week will haunt them.
Opportunity is there for Collingwood. We knew that. They've got through their tough stretch. It's the Giants, the Suns, who are in contention for the bottom of the 8 with them, North Melbourne, who look cast, and Adelaide, who are in the lower region.
Imagine if it's 4-zip.
That's right.
Oof.
And unified, pick up the chase.
Oof.
Imagine if they stumbled on 1 and 3. And you go, they had this rolled gold opportunity set before them. So the on-field always plays a role. The secondary element today were the TikTokers, Jack Ginnivan and Isaac Quaynor. No, my kids have
Don't
TikTok.
say that. I watch TikTok.
Right.
Me and your kids.
Right. So you might be there. I actually feel quite strongly about this one.
Which one?
So there was an environment created which has sucked these two players into a vortex, and this is part of what De Goey has to understand, that he created at the club,
he did.
and Ginnivan and Quaynor fall foul of that. This was predicated on a false premise all day. The false premise that these two players were rating women. That's not what this is. The game they were playing, which is puerile, but millions of people are doing it doesn't objectify women. It is not demeaning. It's not judging people physically and holding them to ridicule. It's a silly word game. It lent itself to puerile behaviour and a silly video which is absolutely in context with everybody else's silly videos, and it was used today to further an environment of a lack of respect for women at Collingwood, and that was unfair.
Very unfair, Jarryd. Very, very unfair.
And there was no option as a circuit breaker other than to apologise for it.
Yeah, when the bomb hits the club, all this sort of stuff comes into question. Suddenly Collingwood's culture comes into question. Collingwood were really working hard on what they want to be as a club. This TikTok, Jarryd, some of it's quite funny. That was just an 18-year-old, and how old's Quaynor? 20, right? Their brains aren't even functioning fully yet, mate. They were just doing what every other 18 and 20-year-old kid is doing on TikTok. Having a bit of fun, having a laugh. I loved it, and I thought, oh, God. No, I thought it was the wrong avenue. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and we should hold the real stuff to account.
Yeah.